This is so weird how you have to do this with this program, but like for whatever reason, when I go to edit it, it actually flips the orientation. There we go. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. So all the videos I have been filming on this computer, I accidentally like flipped the screen. So when I hold up books, they're like backwards. I'm so sorry. I don't know if anyone's been noticing that. They probably have. But I fixed it now. All right, Goodreads features that you may not know about. Hey guys, welcome back. We're going to talk about some Goodreads features that most people probably know about if you use the Goodreads app, but I guess this video is kind of inspired by a lot of people kind of turning away from Goodreads and going to other programs like Storygraph, which I did have a Storygraph, and I think I even imported all of my Goodreads books into Storygraph so I could use Storygraph, and there is part of it that I kind of like, but I went back to Goodreads. I just like Goodreads. A lot of people are also using Fable, but that's not really the kind of the same thing of shelving books and things like that. So I just wanted to talk about Goodreads and why I like it, and that I almost wonder if maybe some of the reasons people aren't liking it is because they don't know about some of these really cool features. I do know when I use Goodreads on my phone, because I do update books that I'm currently reading, and I update my status on them and make notes mostly from my phone. And the phone app is so different than the desktop. And I just think that with a lot of things that is the case because they just can't. Sora, get down from there. Come on, man. Do you have to do this right now? Come on. Come lay down. Come on. You know, it's going to be different, and there's a lot of sites that are like that. One of the things is that I think people think that it hasn't been updated in forever and it's not pretty, but I don't necessarily think that it needs to be. I think that when sites try to update too often, you're kind of almost having to relearn things, and it's frustrating to have to relearn system and where they've put everything just for a fresh new look. Like, why fix what isn't broken kind of idea. I'm not trying to like make clickbait thumbnails. Those completely infuriate me so bad. I don't think I've used everything that's out there, and I don't know that I've spent that much time on Storygraph to give it a really fair comparison. There is like a reason why I quit using Storygraph, and I almost wonder if it isn't because Goodreads has a little bit more features. Some of these I found out by sheer accident and just clicking around and spending way too much time on Goodreads, and it's possible that I'm literally on my own island over here and everyone already knew all this stuff except for me, but we're gonna go over it anyhow for the always last to know kids like me. So I'm going to share my favorite features. They're pretty obvious. I think everyone knows about these features. And then some commentary and comparisons to other platforms. And then a few features that I think are hidden to or lesser known that I feel like makes a world of difference when I'm using Goodreads. And then finally, some things that I think could be done a little bit better, because absolutely nothing is 100% perfect. My favorite features are the shelves, and that's not really revolutionary or any different from any other platforms. They all have a system of shelves and creating shelves to organize the books how you want, but I like that you can create these shelves. I personally have a hard time making shelves or like knowing how to organize the bookshelves. My go-to is always separating things by genre. I do of course have the default, the TBR, the current reads, and the read books. And the custom shelves I have ended up redoing a few years ago, where I tailored them a little bit more towards how I do content or I want to do content. Since I reference Goodreads a lot for images that I use in my videos, for information about the books, summaries, and other information, and we'll come back around to this later. I also have bookshelves for specific niches that I want to save and be able to reference. I reference Goodreads a lot for seeking out information regarding how many books are in a series, what books, like the reading order of books by authors. I reference it for book summaries a lot of times, like when I'm doing up my scripts for these videos. Usually keep Goodreads in the background so that I can reference to it a lot. I reference it for other reviewers and tons of other information about the books, like how many pages are in the book or different editions, copies of the books. Now what is my cat doing? Oh my god, that cat, he's up to no good this afternoon. He really wants attention. He wants to play, of course now. And he had a basket of blueberries sitting on my counter, and he knocked them off on the floor. I think because they look like little balls, and like my kids have dropped some and he plays with them on the floor. So yeah, I think he's like trying to get the little balls out. I swear to goodness, I love that cat, but he can be such a menace sometimes. So I have started creating some shelves based on star ratings. I did this a few years ago, and I haven't updated my 2024 books and put them into like all the 1-star books to all the 5-star books, because I had this series that I was going to do, and I started it years ago, but then like we moved and I got off track. But I was going to kind of look back and see like, are all my 5-star books still 5 stars and that kind of thing. Might have to consider picking that up again, because I think that was really cool. It was fun to kind of look back and see that, and like, did my star ratings change kind of thing. I also have bookshelves for specific niches. For instance, I have like Buffy the Vampire Slayer themed books. So some of them are specifically Buffy the Vampire Slayer canon, comic books, that sort of thing. But then some of them are books that kind of remind me of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. They might include monsters or demons or apocalypses, female characters fighting the forces of evil. And then I have another one that's like Gilmore Girl vibes, you know, very specific niches. I have like little random book lists, book recommendation lists scattered everywhere. My Google Keep is cluttered with them so bad, because I'll be like watching booktube on my phone and I don't have anywhere to write these down, and so I'll like snap a picture and then I'll save it to Google Keep. I have like a database in Notion with a bunch of lists, and a lot of these, there's books on both lists at the same time. It's become a really big issue. I don't like how disorganized it feels. So I am planning to migrate all of those lists and just keep it in Goodreads. I like the addition of the annual goal, which again is not new or unique. What you do at the beginning of the year is you select how many books that you want to read, and you can see the progression as the year goes on. You can have like here are the books I'm currently reading, and then as you tick them off, your number goes up. However, one thing I used a lot that I think is specific to Goodreads, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think it's specific to Goodreads. Goodreads will actually tell you how many books behind or ahead of schedule you are towards completing your goal. And I thought that was such an interesting feature. It's like it kind of does the math for you already. I also like groups. I love that you can create any kind of group that you want to. It's 100% up to the creator of the group. You can have multiple people be moderators in your group. You can have specific book discussions or open-ended. There's groups for all kinds of different things, like even non-book related fandoms there's groups for. There's booktube groups. You can share your booktube content. Groups based on genres. Like there's so many groups, and you can create groups. I'm also on Fable, and I know Fable also has open-ended, you can create book clubs, but they all are just book clubs. And there's a feature book, and then there's discussions based off that book. But I do like it for book clubs because break it up by chapter discussions. And it's quite minimalistic, which I can appreciate that as well. Lists. I absolutely love the lists feature. You can create lists for anything. You can find lists for anything. So there's tons of lists for any specific niches that you are looking for. And anyone can create a list and open it up for others to share or add to. If you just want to find books about cats, there's a list for that. If you want to find books that have cats on the cover, there's a list for that. I really love this because it's a really great way to find really obscure books you would have never found any other way. For example, I have been looking into specific lists for like Studio Ghibli vibe books, Buffy the Vampire Slayer vibe books, or if you like Twilight, you'll like these books. Those are some of the lists that I have recently been searching. Okay, the new releases lists. I think this is one of the best places to find new releases, especially ones that match your reading style. I can search for lists based on authors that I follow, and they will only populate new releases from those authors, so you can really kind of weed out all the other books. You can also search for new releases on specific genres, like most of the like fantasy. I don't care about thriller new releases. I just want to know what fantasy new releases are out. So you can kind of filter new releases that way. I do think they changed this though, because in the past I was able to search like new releases and then you could go month per month and it would just populate all of them. But now it has 2 tabs at the top, authors and genres, and then you can go and fix your genres, but you can't, but that's like per month. So then you go like Like say I'm looking at January new releases, and then at the bottom it'll have a button that says like next month, and it'll take you on to all of those same filters, but what's coming out like the next month. So it does seem like it's changed a little bit. I think it's probably a little bit better. Giveaways. I use the giveaways section a lot. Be aware that publishers are offering giveaways specifically to build hype around their books in hopes that you will post honest reviews, but they are open to everyone. So I know, like when I first started booktube, I thought it was so cool that publishers wanted to give other booktubers like free books so they could talk about them, and it seemed like something that was so special, but it's really not that special. You can go on to Goodreads. It's super easy. You don't have to prove who you are. You don't have to prove that you have a platform. You don't have to have you have a Goodreads platform. You have an Amazon platform. It's fine. They don't really care that much. You just get thrown into a pool, and you can see how many people have joined that giveaway. And I've won quite a few books off of the giveaways. Sometimes I win a couple, and then it might be months before I win another one. But they are hoping that you will talk about them. It's not necessary. Like they're not going to come after you and be like, you won a book. How come you haven't posted a review? I can't tell you how many books I have won, and I forgot to post reviews. So my bad. So I'm not going to lecture you and tell you like you really need to go put reviews out there, because I am notorious for forgetting to do that. So I do try to make a conscious effort to be better about it. Okay, highlights. I think this is really cool, especially if you read on Kindle. Like on your Kindle device, you can see what other people have highlighted in the book that you're reading. You can also see comments and things that people are sharing. On Goodreads, you can go and see highlights as well. I don't know. I didn't really use that feature a whole lot like I thought I was going to, but I think it's such a cool feature because Kindle works with Amazon works with Goodreads. It's all really cool system sharing, and you're reading along on your Kindle and see what people are saying. You can leave highlights and things like that, and then you can share them to Goodreads, and then when you go to Goodreads you can pull it up and see, and it's all right there, and it's really cool. But full transparency though, if your ebook files were not purchased through Kindle or Amazon, or you upload them through like the Amazon email, you can't really connect to Goodreads. It doesn't populate any, like, when you get your books and it's like you can look up, author bio and details on the book, like those book files don't have that. I don't actually have Kindle anymore. I have now got a Kobo Libra color for Christmas, and I love it. I think that it works for the way that I want to read, the way I want to annotate a lot better. So I have switched over to Kobo, but that is a cool feature if you have a Kindle. The reviews. As I said, I'm an avid user of Goodreads. I reference it often to see reviews, good and bad. It's so easy to click on the reviews that you're interested in reading. Like if I just want to see all the 5-star reviews, or if I just want to see why people weren't liking this book, I can easily filter the reviews. The information on the books, there is so much information listed. You get your ISBN numbers, you get page counts, any awards that the book has won, you can see all of that. You can see all the different editions that have been published. If you like to track your reading on spreadsheets, this is invaluable information. A lot of those spreadsheets give you the options to add all of these details, and sometimes when you're done reading a book, or they don't put all that stuff always on the book sometimes, or maybe you checked out a book from the library and you returned it and you don't have all the information. It was like an audiobook, but you still want to log all the information. This is a great place to get all the information that you want on one page. About the author, I really like that you can check out, like if you like a book that was written by somebody, or if you read a few books by this author, maybe you want to check out the author and see what other books they have published. Speaking of, I use this a lot if there is a series. Since I read a lot of fantasy, they're all series. So I can go and see all the different books that are in the series when I'm trying to like figure out which is the next one to read. That's a really good way to see it. I really love how it does this too, because like you can go on your author page and you can scroll all the way to the bottom and see all the different series, and you can see all the different books, and if you click on that series, you'll see it populate all of the books in order, very clearly labeled book 1, book 2, prequel, whatever. And then you can also see what are spin-off series. Like sometimes in the side panel you can see related series, and that will let you know if maybe there's a prequel series to that series or a series after that to be interested in reading. I can't tell you how many times I have like been looking at like a series in a book, and I noticed that the cover art is very similar to another book, but they're actually, granted, related, but they don't go together in a series that's just a spin-off series, and this helps sort all that information out. I like the end of year stats so much. I used to use spreadsheet created by a booktuber, hardback hoarder spreadsheet. I used to use that, and it's an amazing piece of work, absolutely. But I have tried to spend less time logging and more time reading, so I've really stayed away from just logging everything so meticulously anymore. And I kind of let Goodreads do it for me because that just means more free time for me. But I still really like to see stats, and granted, the stats that Goodreads gives you is not as good as the spreadsheets. It still gives you some stats. I know the story graph also gives a different way of looking at your stats as well, which is still always so tempting in the back of my mind to try a story graph more, but I just don't want to be on two different platforms, and for me, I feel that Goodreads has a lot more for me, so it is what it is. The Goodreads awards, gosh, there is so much criticism, so much hate around these Goodreads awards. And I can definitely see its flaws. Like, for instance, one of the biggest flaws I can see is like a book that was published in December is making it to the list. Like, nobody's even read this book yet. Like, how is it winning? It's definitely a popularity contest, but like, let's be real. What other award systems are not popularity contests? It's incredibly subjective as to what wins. You know, it's a work of art, and people have a lot of different opinions. So like, let's just get over it. Sometimes judging just isn't fair. And if you've ever been in a competition, kids and I, we do Taekwondo, and there are definitely, like, when you're sparring, it's point by point, but sometimes they don't see everything and they count things that weren't supposed to be counted, or they just don't see it clearly because you're moving so fast. Sometimes they count points. Sometimes they miss things when you should have got a point and they didn't call it. Even when things should be black and white, things still get messed up. And then there's a huge part of the competition where you have to do a form, and it's technically the art form. It's your own style. They are looking for some very specific stances need to be right. But at the end of the day, subjective opinion of whose form they felt was stronger or looked better. And that's just the way it's going to be. That is life, guys. So there is no need to get so upset about it. I really kind of like looking at this and reflecting on the year and just seeing what is so popular, because I think sometimes I look at them like, I definitely want to pick that book, or wow, this one was really popular. I haven't even heard of this one. Maybe I should give it a try, and just have fun with it. You know, I think it's kind of interesting, and you could see, I do like some of the videos that come out of it, because there are YouTubers that like to kind of, like Hardback Hoarder, she used to every year read the books that won and kind of comment on them. So I like the videos that come out of that. They can be a lot of fun. All right, here's a couple of things that you may not have known. And this one's kind of hard to explain. You can edit your properties of your bookshelves to how they share information. For example, if you saved a book as Reddit, it won't be saved as a TBR. So they are called exclusive shelves. So if you put a book on that shelf, it won't be shared to any other shelf. Or if you put a book as a book that you're currently reading, it's obviously not going to be on your red shelf or your TBR shelf because you haven't finished it. So you could change the property of the shelf, and you can actually do this for any of the shelves that you create. You just now I forgot how I do it, so I'm actually going to switch over to a screen here. I'm going to pop up a screen and show you the process I went through to do it. So I did this back, I think, in 2022, and I tested it for the year 2023, and I continued it on for 2024, and I will continue to do this. But I created an exclusive shelf for my DNF shelf because I don't want it to be on books read or TBR, and I don't want it in books that I've read because it gets confused with the books that are part of my challenge. I don't want to count books that I DNF'd as the books for my annual challenge. So that's why I ended up doing this. But I like to comment on it, and I want a place to save these books because by the end of the year. Now, another feature that you may not know, if you like to reread books, it's not very clear or obvious, but if you've already marked a book that you've read and then you want to reread it, you have to unclick it to put back on your currently reading list. So what I was wondering is, does it mean that I didn't already read the book already? When you finish it, we'll actually save a new reading history on that book. So when you go and look at the details, you can go and click on your reading history, and it will save all of the times that you switched it from currently reading to finished. So if you read it 4 times, you'll have 4 reading slots there. And I think it's kind of a hidden feature. I mean, it's not really that hidden if you've clicked around and stuff like that, but I don't think it's quite obvious, especially again if you're using your phone to do most of your Goodreads stuff. Just know that if you've already read the book, it was already marked as read, you can re-put it on your currently reading list and reread it, and all those times will be saved. So when you go to your desktop, you can look at those details. Another one is quotes. Now, again, this is not like a hidden tab. There's a bunch of other features too, but I don't want to go over the entire website. Again, I really like the quote section, and I can't say that I use it enough. You can search quotes by different sentiments. So I think if you like to save quotes, you like to use quotes, this is a really nice feature. Now moving on to things that I think could be improved upon. There's a couple things here. First off, the site, it does feel dreadfully 90s. We talked about this at the beginning of the video, but I do kind of agree what people are saying. Like when you go to Storygraph, like it's all new and fresh and it's so user friendly, and this does feel like an old 90s form. The times when I mostly feel this is like when you go visit groups and you're kind of trying to follow along with old chats because of the way they stack the comments, but you can actually flip the comments. Like my default, for whatever reason, is like the oldest is at the top. And so if it's 20 pages of comments, I might be looking at comments from 5 years ago. Well, you can actually click a button that flips them and puts the most current at the top for you. So I feel that that's really useful. That's one instance where I feel that. Also, when you're looking at your entire read shelf, the way it's listed, you can actually I'm probably going to put this up on the screen too because I do want to show it to you. So when you're looking at this page right here where you're seeing all the books that you read and you're seeing all the different things that it's saving, like published date, all that stuff. I mean, you can actually fix this page. You can hide everything if you want, or you can show everything, or you could pick the different categories that you actually want it to show you. So that is one way that you can kind of fix that. Okay, the personal shelves. This is a hidden feature. It is so buried. What I mean by personal shelves is I can't even think of where it's at because I rarely ever use it because it is just such a pain in the butt to get to, but you can do it. So if you're on this page, I'm going to try to find the page and I'll put it up in here. When you're on this page, you can tick a box that says that you have this on your physical library shelf. Would love to have a space in the side panel where you could see all the bookshelves that you created. I would love to have a space for your physical library right there, because you can log books as being on your physical library, but it's so hidden. Like you have to get to this site in order to do it. It's the only way to do it. So I can't do that on my cell phone app. Furthermore, I also don't see how you can go back and just find the books that you've actually ticked the box that you own the book. Now that I'm thinking about it, there might be a way to set a filter of the books that you've ticked off that you own from that one page where it shows all the books that you have shelved. There might be a filter on there. I haven't actually played with the filters in a very long time because once I had them set, I didn't really see a purpose in changing anything, but I might investigate that further. So if I could speak to a manager, I would hail from the rooftops to please make this feature apparent. Please do this, because I think a lot of people love to log the books that are in their personal physical library, as well as keep other TBRs that maybe are on wish lists, or maybe they want to check out from the library that are separate from their physical library. And I have like several libraries. I have my ebook library, I have my physical library, and then I have, just the regular TBRs from, you know, just the universe, all the books I want to read in the universe. I think that this would be a valuable asset to making shelves a lot better too, because I can't tell you how many times like I've gone to a used bookstore and I see a book that is like really cheap and then I can't remember if I own that book or not. And I know it sounds like really bad because like, wow, you have so many books you don't even know which ones you own, but like I've accidentally bought duplicates. And I know this is not just a me problem. And I love having a place that I can quickly look and see like, wait, do I own this book already? And like some books I have the ebook copy of it, even if I don't have the physical copy, but I don't necessarily need a physical copy because I have the ebook copy. So it would just be really nice to be able to have a quick place to just check on that. That's the end of this. Those are all of the features that I really wanted to share with you that I think everyone needs to know about, and why you shouldn't be so hard on Goodreads, because Goodreads has a ton of good features. And I think a lot of these features are exclusive to Goodreads. Please let me know actually if Storygraph has any of these features too, because as I said, I spent a little bit of time on it, but it was like a couple years ago. It's been a really long time, and maybe they've updated things. So please let me know if you use Storygraph, and thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.